All right, so we're back for another deep dive. And this time, we're taking a closer look at a movie that really shook things up in the superhero world. X-Men, The Last Stand, back in 2006.
Yeah, this wasn't just another sequel. The Last Stand wraps up that original X-Men trilogy, but it throws some serious curveballs at you. I mean, you've got this whole thing with a cure for mutations coming out.
Yeah. Worthington Labs just drops that bombshell on everyone.
And it totally divides the mutant community. Some are like, hey, maybe this is a good thing, a chance at a normal life.
Right, like Rogue.
Yeah.
She can't even touch anyone because of her power, so you can see why the cure would be tempting.
Exactly. But for others, like Magneto and his crew, it's a straight-up threat. They see it as a way to wipe out mutants, like a form of genocide.
Which, honestly, is kind of understandable given the way humans have treated mutants in this universe.
Totally. It's like, how can you trust the people who've been persecuting you to suddenly offer a cure that could just as easily be a weapon?
So right off the bat, The Last Stand throws this huge ethical dilemma at you. And then on top of all that, Jean Grey's back, but not quite the same Jean we knew before.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other layer of crazy. She's gone full Phoenix, this unstoppable force of raw power. And honestly, the film does a great job of making you feel just how dangerous she is.
Right, from the get-go. I mean, Cyclops doesn't last long.
No, not at all. And that was one of the things a lot of viewers pointed out, is that it felt kind of rushed. Like, they didn't give that moment the weight it deserved, considering their history.
Yeah, a lot of the reviews we looked at said the same thing. It's almost like they just needed him out of the picture to move the plot along.
Which is a shame, because it could have been such a powerful scene if they'd given it more time to breathe.
And then, of course, there's that scene with Professor X. Man, I still remember the first time I saw that. I was like, no way they actually did that.
Yeah, it was brutal. It shows you just how far gone Jean is, how completely she's been taken over by the Phoenix.
And it leaves the X-Men in a total mess. I mean, their mentor, their leader, gone just like that.
It's a huge turning point in the film, for sure. And then you get Magneto seeing an opportunity in all this chaos.
Always the opportunist.
Right. He teams up with Phoenix, figuring he can use her power to his advantage.
Which, let's be honest, is a pretty risky move.
Oh, totally. I mean, Phoenix is a wild card. She's incredibly powerful, but she's also completely unpredictable.
And that's where Wolverine comes in. I mean, he's basically the only one who can stand up to her.
Thanks to that healing factor and the adamantium skeleton, they're like his cheat codes in this situation.
And you get that really heartbreaking scene at the end where it's Jean herself who begs him to stop her.
Yeah, it's like there's still a part of her in there fighting against the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But it's too late.
Tragedy all around. So while all that's going on, you've got Magneto and the Brotherhood running their own operation. They're dead set against the cure, obviously.
Oh yeah, their whole thing is about stopping the cure by any means necessary. And this version of the Brotherhood is pretty interesting. You've got some familiar faces like Pyro, although he didn't quite make the same impression this time around.
Yeah, some of the reviews said he came across as a bit arrogant and ineffective.
And then there's Mystique, who's a key player until she gets hit with the cure dart. And let's not forget Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
That line became pretty iconic. But not necessarily for the right reasons, according to some.
You're right, it was kind of cheesy. But hey, it's Juggernaut.
And then you've got Callisto and Multiple Man joining the ranks. It's like Magneto's putting together a whole mutant army.
Oh, totally. And their prison break to free Mystique and the other mutants was a pretty cool sequence.
For sure. But it's that scene with the Golden Gate Bridge that really steals the show.
Oh, absolutely. Magneto just rips that thing apart and moves it to Alcatraz. You gotta give it to the visual effects team. That was impressive.
No argument there. But in the end, Magneto's plan fails. Beast manages to inject him with the cure, stripping him of his powers.
Although, that little moment at the end with the chess piece, seems like they left the door open for his return.
Yeah, it definitely hinted that his powers might not be gone for good.
Yeah.
So, on the other side of this whole mess, you've got the X-Men. And they're caught between a rock and a hard place.
They've got Magneto and his crew causing mayhem, and then they've got to deal with Jean going full Phoenix. It's like a double whammy.
And all this happens after Professor X is gone, so they're kind of leaderless.
So you see characters like Storm stepping up, taking on more of a leadership role.
Yeah, she really comes into her own in this film.
And Beast, played by Kelsey Grammer, was a big hit with audiences.
Oh yeah, he was fantastic. Although, I gotta admit, it took me a while to stop seeing Fraser Crane.
That's understandable, but hey, he nailed the role.
Absolutely. And then you've got Rogue dealing with her own issues, particularly with her relationship with Iceman and her feelings about Kitty Pryde.
That whole love triangle added another layer of drama to the film. And speaking of Kitty Pryde, her fight with Juggernaut was pretty awesome.
That's right. She really shows off her powers there.
And then we get Angel joining the X-Men, bringing some aerial action to the mix.
So you got all these storylines happening, all these characters, and some reviewers felt it was a bit too much.
Yeah, they felt like the film tried to do too many things at once, which led to some characters feeling underdeveloped.
Like Mystique, for example. Once she loses her powers, she kind of fades into the background.
And even Cyclops, before he. Well, it felt like his character wasn't given as much attention as he deserved.
Right. It's like they had so much going on that they couldn't give every character the space they needed.
Which is a shame because there's so much potential there. And then, of course, there's that post-credit scene with Professor X-Mind. Blown.
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, maybe he's not really gone after all.
It certainly left the door open for possibilities. So overall, The Last Stand got a pretty mixed reception.
Yeah. Looking at the reviews, it's clear that it's considered the weakest of the original trilogy. Most of the ratings fell somewhere between a 5 and a 7 out of 10.
A lot of the criticism was around the pacing. Some people felt like the first half dragged a bit, and then the second half was just one big action sequence after another.
Which, to be fair, is what you kind of expect from a summer blockbuster.
True. But some reviewers felt like the action overshadowed the characters, like they sacrificed depth for spectacle.
Yeah, and that criticism about Cyclops' death and Jean's resurrection kept coming up. It felt like those moments were rushed and didn't have the emotional impact they could have had.
And the change in directors was also a point of contention for some. They felt like Brett Ratner's style was just different from Bryan Singer's, and not in a good way.
But hey, there were also a lot of positive things people pointed out.
Oh, definitely. The performances were top-notch. Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, they all brought their A-game.
And Kelsey Grammer as Beast was a fantastic addition to the cast.
Absolutely. And the visual effects were pretty amazing. I mean, that Golden Gate Bridge scene was just epic.
Agreed. And even though some people felt like the film didn't explore the themes as deeply as it could have, there's no denying that it touches on some really important issues.
Like prejudice, acceptance, what it means to be normal. Especially with that whole Cure storyline. Some reviewers saw that as a metaphor for real-world issues faced by marginalized groups.
Exactly. It makes you think about the pressures to conform, to fit in, and what happens when people try to erase difference.
So on a technical level, The Last Stand had a pretty impressive crew behind it. We mentioned Brett Ratner as the director.
Right, and then you had Avi Arad, Lauren Schiller-Donner, and Ralph Winter as the main producers.
Yeah.
They were all veterans of the X-Men film franchise.
The music was composed by John Powell, and the cinematography was handled by Dante Spinotti.
And looking at the IMDb page, the list of visual effects companies involved is huge, which, again, speaks to the scale of those action scenes.
Not to mention the massive stunt team they had working on the film.
And the makeup department was no slouch either. They had a lot of work to do creating all those unique mutant looks.
So, to wrap things up, X-Men, The Last Stand really brought everything to a head. You had the whole mutant cure controversy, the emergence of Phoenix, and Magneto pushing his agenda harder than ever.
It was a wild ride, to say the least, and even though it might not be considered the best of the trilogy, it definitely left its mark on the X-Men universe.
And it leaves you with some big questions to ponder, like what does it mean to be normal? How do societal advancements and potential cures impact those who are different?
Are there unseen consequences to trying to erase those differences? These are questions that the film raises, but doesn't necessarily provide all the answers.
So we'll leave those for you to think about. That's what makes these deep dives so interesting. They make you question, they make you think.
And that's all we can ask for. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into X-Men: The Last Stand. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.